Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast that celebrates the worldwide reach of the mighty Glasgow Celtics. Now then, from Cambuslang to Cardiff, from Govan to Goa, wherever you're watching, you're very much part of A Celtic World. And who's part of tonight's Celtic World? We have Ian in G12. Hello Ian, please explain.
Yeah, I'm on holiday, but home. So I'm up visiting my parents who, G12, I mean, I'm sure Kai's will know. It's like a little bit of a joke. The people of G12 are just a little bit, I don't know how to say it nicely, but mum and dad have decided to, this is their location. As you can see, you can see what they've descended into. So yeah, it's nice to be back up. I'm in an area of Glasgow called Hindland, which is very nice, very Beautiful. Accessible to Byres Road and the rest of the West End. So I feel very, I feel very underdressed anywhere I go, to be honest with you, versus when I'm out in Cardiff. So, yeah.
Well, the picture behind you is quite underdressed, whatever's going on there.
Yeah, I think that's what you do as you get older, Gav. I don't know. I mean, maybe you've gotten into that stage that you buy random art that means something to you, but to everyone else looks weird. So yeah,
those are like limbs. Those are fleshy human arms and legs, and
it's like a kind of naked body curled up in itself. And I haven't bothered asking, to be honest with you, Gav, because I'm not sure I'll get the answer that I want to get.
Just don't ask, bro.
And checking in with us from another part of Glasgow, it's the mighty Kaiser. What about you?
Yeah, all legends. Here in Ibrox, living my best life, having fun. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah. Just learning.
There's an argument to say happiest man in Ibrox, Kaiser. Is that,
yes, very much so. Going to go around and get some pictures of the Leaning Tower of Copeland. You know what I mean? Hold it up, the usual, the full Leaning Tower of Pisa gig at Ibrox. You could jump on the subway. That's what I was going to say, Ian. Just hover over, jump on the subway, come visit the local Ibrox area. You'll not be underdressed for down here, bro. You'll be overdressed down here. Just tuck your socks in.
Just saying hello to a few people in the chat there. Frank asking who is Zen? Well, obviously Daizen. And Q, and the point of he's referring to the thumbnail, which is Kuhn finds Zen, I think. Isn't that what I said? So he's finding Daizen. I could have apostrophe Zen'd it, but it's also he's playing with such panache these days. Nicholas Kuhn, that he seems like to be in the zone, isn't he?
A double entendre, hinting at both Kuhn's form and his ability to find Daizen Maeda. But well, yeah,
that's exactly. But not everyone's as intelligent as you see.
Well, I read a lot of cereals and shampoo bottles when I go to the bathroom. You know what I mean?
420 somewhere's getting the postcode reference.
Up in the Swingles area.
Volumes are all good. I did ask in the chat if any of our volumes need adjusting, please let us know, because Ian's seem just a little bit low.
I feel like mine looks like I'm in a hot country, Gav. I think mine looks like I'm in a hot country.
Okay.
Which is the exact opposite of where I am.
Where you really are, yes.
Right, cool. Well, look, lads, we're going to talk about the game. We'll go through it with the help of a few stills. But first of all, let's talk about your individual experiences of the game. And I think we'll start with you, Ian, because there you are. Do you get the many games over the course of a season? You live in Cardiff, of course.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a bit younger and had a bit more money and didn't have a child, I used to get up like a lot more, but now the visits are a wee bit more infrequent. And when you do come up, it's like the reliance on trying to get a ticket. I was quite lucky that this trip worked out for a cup game, because you can usually, you know what I mean, especially early rounds, you're probably all right. I mean, I could probably get one for the Falkirk one as well if I came up. But no, this was an opportunity. This is the first game that I took my daughter to. And she immediately, within 10 minutes, got out her crocheting. and started crocheting away. So I was like, that's a good off to a good start. So yeah, it was nice to be back. Nice to get into the atmosphere and stuff again. I got to be honest with you though, Gav. I've always been someone who prefers watching sport on the TV. I like going for atmosphere. Don't get me wrong. I do like visiting and stuff like that, especially if it's like a big game. But I guess I'm kind of like I'm probably out of the routine of going week to week. So it just feels a little bit different. But it was nice to be back. Nice to pay £6 for a hot dog. That was good.
Elevated view there. You're very high up.
Yeah, it was right beside the green bay down to my left there. So actually, really, really good view of the pitch, to be honest with you.
That's I think Jerry's season tickets are just down below you somewhere. I don't know if you've spoken to him about that. A bit of blue sky there. I see some blue.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the camera doing the heavy lifting. But yeah, it was good. I mean, everyone will know it's Baltic up there. You really do catch the wind. But yeah, overall, it's not been too bad, and it was dry, so can't complain. That was me at the beginning. The thing is, I'm not a big photo taker, Gav. So this was my wife forcing me to have photos and take photos and all the rest of it. So there is photographic evidence that I had been there on that day, and I'll look back on that with fondness.
Very good. And Henrik McLarson says Kaiser's looking well after yesterday's watch along, or as we call it, the drink along, Kaiser.
Yeah. As I says, I've never had a hangover in my life. It doesn't matter what I drink. My friends always say to me when I was younger, like, I'll wait till you get to your late 20s, all your hangovers will catch up at you at once. Wait till you get to your late 30s, they'll come hitting home. Wait till you get to your 40s. Still not had one. You know what I mean? Still here. Easy peasy.
Very good. And so who was on tell us about the drink along. Who was on it? What other subjects did you talk about? What was the crack?
We just had fun really watching along the game, me and Dano, having a drink, interacting with chat. Of course, we can't display the game, so it's hard to converse about the game, especially people watching streams. It's all at different times. Some people are typing in chat that Celtic have already scored, already conceded, and then I'm waiting on the stream to catch up. And my stream wouldn't even work. I had to watch a YouTube stream, and it had a box in the middle of the screen. It had like a partition in the middle of the screen. And I'm like, I can't see it anyway, you know what I mean? But I was listening along to it while interacting with chat and having fun with Dano, basically. Getting the real start of the show on X-Man.
I think by the time I came back, Dano was still streaming live. Did he just stay on just to chat?
Yeah, both of us just stayed on, bro. We stayed on. I says, like, could do a post-match reaction? And then Dano just decided to chat a wee bit. Then I went to the shop to buy more beer in return because I ran out at that stage, so needed more.
Did you remember stopping the stream this time? Because there was a previous time you didn't know what happened. You weren't sure. You woke up on the floor thinking, are we still streaming?
Yeah, exactly. I passed out in here, you know what I mean? Just got far too drunk. I think I drank a full bottle of whiskey that time. But, like, still didn't have a hangover after that either. And that's on top of my usual, bottle of wine that gets it started.
Some of the people who participated are feeling a little bit rough, even if they weren't drinking. I think that's just from listening to you and Dano for 2 hours.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good lad.
Good crack.
All right.
Good effort. You know what I mean?
Well, let's see how much of this, of the game then remains crystal clear in your mind, as we'll go through a bunch of stills and talk about the match, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of people in, as there always is when we have... oh, no, not that. Oops, Daisy. How did that happen?
Whoops.
That's a great start.
That's what I meant to show.
Worse.
I was just... I'm overawed by the fact that there's hundreds of people watching, because we have two people with followings. The two people in the Celtic world who've got something of a following, and you're both on. So hello to everyone who's tuning in to see Celtic or Kaiser.
Like and subscribe. Is that what you say, Kaiser? Like and subscribe?
yes, please like and subscribe. Help combat the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, I should say that more. I very seldom say it. Normally what I do is I just rely on one of these.
How's it, bro? Loving a Celtic world. It's fantastic. Definitely worth a subscribe, hey.
Definitely
South
worth a
African?
subscribe, hey.
South Africa?
Supposedly it's an AI South African. And you can't get them to say A. So that's why he says hey. Anyway, let's get on with the game. Enough nonsense. The very first minute, Nicholas Kuhn cynically clipped. Were you in your seat by this moment, Ian?
Oh, I was well in my seat enjoying my £6 hot dog. Yeah, I was. I mean, there was a bit of me that I don't know what the exact rules are, but I did think, is that not a red? Because I was surprised to see. I mean, we'll probably talk about the referee as we go on. But it was unusual that we got a yellow, but I thought maybe it could be a red for last man, but I wasn't in a good enough position to see. But yeah, very, very cynical and kind of set the tone of, I mean, if it was a red, I mean, maybe you can tell me, Gav, but set the tone for the rest of the game.
What I can tell you from making this still is that there's a guy in the centre circle somewhere, so he's not the last man. That's not the last line of defence. But still, I mean, he's through. He would have powered away past the guy who's in the centre circle, and Maida would have been clear. We all know how that would have ended. Well, we don't know if he would have scored, but I mean, there was going to be a real goal-scoring opportunity if that hadn't happened, right, Kaiser?
Yeah, really attacking at pace, showing that counter-attacking pace, and it was a cynical foul, a well-deserved yellow card, and it did set the tone. You know, it set the tone for a lot of that went on. Yeah. Obviously,
cynical is the word for it, yeah.
I love to blaze over the entire game and a rough estimate, but the way we do it on here is bringing the stills and talking about each section, so we'll stick to it.
Well, it's good because it reminds you of some things that you might have already flitted away from your mind, and you don't get to discuss them. This is the Maida goal. Hatate crossing it. Maida swings a leg at it. At first, when I saw this, I thought this was a delightful little creative dink over everyone, but it wasn't, was it, Ian?
Well, it looked like a creative dink from where I was sitting, and having watched I tried to watch the highlights on Premier Sports YouTube, but they're just really, really kind of short. We lack a good kind of like highlights package for some of these things. But yeah, I think it was more just to kind of hit and hope and deflect over the keeper. But I mean, look, I'm not gonna criticize Maeda. I mean, he's been fantastic. I think was it O'Reilly who slipped the ball through to Hatate, and then Hatate was doing a lot of those runs all game, and it was so was Taylor. Taylor was making a couple of them as well, and it was really causing them a lot of trouble. They seemed to struggle really against the second man running off players, and it seemed to be a feature of the whole game. And then this one, for us to get it so early as well, I think, really, really good.
Yeah, it was. It was just he swung a leg at it and it hit the defender and sort of lipped up over the keeper, as opposed to being a cute little dink. 12 minutes, Kuhn to Maeda, to Hatate, to Forrest. So this is Hatate about to cross it for Forrest, who's running in and just doesn't connect with it. Do you remember this, Kaiser?
No, I don't remember this chance.
It's the kind of thing that you mightn't remember, but it was a great opportunity.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of these throughout the game, right? There wasn't. I think this was the one, because I think there was another. I can't remember if it was the first or the second half, but there's a good couple of these. There seems to be a real drive to get to the byline and try and work in and drive players out of position. I think in this occasion, I think this is the difference. This is the difference between having Maeda and Kyogo. I think Maeda is sometimes in that position. I think Kyogo is almost always in that position to finish it off. And I'd speculate maybe Ida would be the same, would be in there as well. So I think it's just a case of, I think Rodgers said in the post-match, he said about reminding Maeda before the game about like what he had to change in the runs, he had to change in the position. And I would speculate that maybe this sort of thing, that's probably just one thing that's just not 100% embedded in him because he's more used to playing out wide. But there was a good few of these that nearly came off.
this is the ball that up and over for O'Reilly, and you just think, oh, he's going to hit this, he's going to smash this home like he always does, Kaiser. But he kind of squares it, thinking that's the better choice. Mind this.
I don't know why he didn't go for the shot, because like I expected that as well, for him just to lash it in. He's got the technique and he's got the ability, but I don't know, maybe he decided to bump those assist numbers. I don't know. You know what I mean? I think he's high on confidence. Maybe he just thought it was a better option.
Is he high on confidence? I kind of get the feeling he's quite conscious of the position he's in at the moment, and there's lots of eyes on him.
I think
anyone else get that?
He's operating at a really high level. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, like he's now his average game now is a good game for anyone else. I can see why there's interest in him. He's doing all the things that Rodgers has said. He's also an intelligent guy. I don't know if this is one of those situations where, percentage-wise, if he puts it back across, it's more of a chance of a goal than striking it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's aware of what the percentage is of doing the different things. He rarely loses the ball. I mean, and he did actually find Maeda with this ball, right? It was just a bit too difficult for him to control. So, yeah, I think, you can argue. I mean, if he hits any skies at them, we're all like, oh, why didn't you just square it? So maybe there's not a right option for him. But I would say I don't think there's a drop-off in his play.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very good as opposed to excellent, in the last couple of games.
He's an absolute cavalier of a player, bro, innit?
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's just ascended to that next level. It's like a limousine, and the rest of them are like dodgem cars at this stage. So just turning up and cruising. Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he doesn't want to pick up a knock. Maybe he doesn't want to get injured. Maybe there is big talk of big transfers.
Yeah. Here was Kuhn's dinking the ball over like he tends to do. Somebody just made a comment about that, how he loves that Kuhn sees the early ball. That's what happened here. Andrew Galea. I like that Kuhn is finding the striker with the early balls, though, honouring the run. That was happening all day, really. And this is Maeda running through to strike it. Was this this was a very satisfying goal, was it not, Ian?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's right to call out Kuhn. Kuhn is another one that looks like a completely different player. Like, it's unbelievable. Obviously, he's had time under Rodgers to be training. He had, not only was he finding people with the through balls, but he's remarkably good at keeping control of that, the control of the ball in tight spaces. It's like, it's wild. So, yeah.
Yeah, incredibly quick. Fast thinking. It's very ironic that we are playing, hitting the byline and cutting the ball back, positions where Kyogo would be finishing, and we're at that form early in this game, and Kyogo wasn't on. It was Maeda who picked up the benefits of the goals. I don't know why Kyogo didn't start. I don't know if it's a knock injury or just a rest. I've not got a clue.
Are we going to talk about that, Gav? Yeah.
We're going to talk about it maybe a little bit later. I just want to enjoy this again. That ball over, and the way that he just gets the critical touch in before the three of them all collide in a big fucking mess. And then the ball just trickles agonizingly to the goal. How enjoyable is that to watch? It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant finish. Maeda just exploiting his pace.
My wife, who doesn't watch a lot of football, said, is he allowed to do that because they've battered into each other? And I said, absolutely. I said, makes it even better.
It does. I love, you love to see the net being rippled, but there's something about a ball trickling over the line that's just like, yeah, you can enjoy it. It's a prolonged period of enjoyment. It's like being a woman between the sheets for a change, having a prolonged period of. Anyway, that's enough of that. All right, back to the game.
Yeah, I've clearly got a happy woman.
Back to the game. Next moment, 24 minutes. O'Reilly scuffs it. Mind this.
Yeah,
is this the one where? Sorry, Kai's on you go.
No, you're batter in, brother.
No, I was saying, is this the one where it's just a bit too tame and it's an easy save for the keeper? Or is it the one where he lashes it over the bar?
It's too tame and the keeper makes an easy save.
Yeah, I think he just didn't get enough on it. I mean, you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to like set it low on the ground, a kind of daisy cutter into the corner, and just doesn't quite get it.
But we're so used to seeing him in this position, aren't we? And then seeing the ball ended up in the top corner, that it was, a bit of a disappointment.
The build up in the way he carved the chance, the way O'Reilly found the space and found himself with the ball there, it was reminiscent of the goal against Man City in pre-season, where he just stroked it into the bottom corner. I think he's went to do the same thing, but just not got the purchase on the strike. Yeah, maybe scuffed the ground a little bit. He is but a mere mortal.
Now this one, this is Forrest Hatate Maeda moved on the left-hand side. And the ball is coming to Maeda there, but it sort of bounces high and he has to sort of swipe at it while it's in the air. Do you remember this? And it goes over. It's another chance. When you do this and you go through the chances, it really hits home how many goals there might have been.
I mean, the thing was that the first half in general was we were massively, massively dominant. If not for that goal that they got that shook us a little bit. I mean, we had loads of chances. Not only did we have loads of chances, I mean, I don't know what the possession stats were. Kaiser, I don't know if you got any of them up, but we must have edging into like late 60s in possession, maybe early 70s. It was difficult for Hibs.
Yeah, I thought we were immense, especially the first 37 minutes. Just carving chances at will, you know what I mean? And then we just lost the emphasis.
This was the Hibs goal. First of all, it was a free kick given away, wasn't it, by CCV? Got carded for jumping up for a header. It was a bit reminiscent of the Jeffy one that everyone was losing their minds over, wasn't it? And then they scored from it. So first of all, was it a free kick? Was it a yellow card, Kaiser?
I didn't really see it, so I can really the free kick that is, and then when the headed effort came in, I seen the header and I thought it was just like fantastic finish for the lad. Then wondered if he was offside. Seen the VAR review come up and onside. It was a well orchestrated free kick and a fantastic headed finish. As we says on the drinkalong, I'm sure the lad that scored that a feather in his cap. I think that's the first striker that's managed to get one past Schmeichel, and an excellent effort. You know what I mean? The Vlad, I can't even get the word out now. Whether the free kick was valid or not, or the yellow card, I don't really know. The validity was the word I was looking for. It just wouldn't come out.
Have you seen it, Ian?
No, so I mean, I think, from inside the stadium, I think, and again, I don't know if it was kind of transmitted home, but it was another one of these, was one of the Clancy masterclasses of penalising us for absolutely everything and letting them away with stuff and not carding them. I mean, I think there was a free kick at about the 70th or 80th minute that just got a massive cheer because it just became almost comical. So this one I can maybe see, because it did look from where I was sat as if like CCV did climb a bit over him. I don't know if the yellow card was justified, but it's one of those ones that it's been given and then it's time to defend it. I've seen a wee bit of criticism of Schmeichel for this, and I've watched it a couple of times, and I don't know how you can criticise the keeper for this because the guy has sent it right back. I mean, to me, this is a perfect header, perfect set piece, header back across where it needs to be, and I think that's massively difficult to save, but I don't know. There is a wee bit of criticism of him for it.
Yeah, the thing that struck me was it made Schmeichel look really small in the goal. There was so much of the goal that was wide open to be exploited. You do find yourself thinking, how can there be that much space? But it's just accentuated by the fact that he looped it right back into the far part of the goal. So, yeah, he was miles away.
Yeah, if you look at Schmeichel's position there, positionally, it's where he would want to be. He's not central to the goal. He's tracking the movement of the ball. He's facing it. He's got the near post covered. That's the most likely source. You think someone's going to go for a header, it's going to go low and towards the near post. So he's covering that. It was just a fantastic effort. As you says, that long arcing header right into the other corner. It just it made Schmeichel look small. Yeah, it did.
I'm completely against the run of play. This, I mean, like it was just like, how have they even scored? I mean, like it's, but I guess because let's be fair as well, Hibs are not off to a good start to the season, and I think the only way they were going to get a goal was the set pieces.
Speaking of set pieces, there was quite a loud shout for a penalty in the commentary. Don't know what it was like at the ground, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, because there's a couple of questions, right? So even without seeing the replays and seeing the close-up, why is he going down there? Like, it's not it's always one of those ones is why would the player go down? And then you ask about the player, James Forrest. James Forrest is not a diver, got no history of diving. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure he would rather go in and get the shot off. And then seeing the replay again, I think it's only... I mean, I was listening to the Premier Sports. I said the coverage on YouTube, and I think it was Michael Stewart saying no for me because there's not enough being done to him there. But he's getting pulled by both shoulders. He's getting twisted round. For me, I think it might come under the qualification of a soft one. But if someone's pulling your shoulder when you're through and goal and you're trying to set your body for a shot, then that's to me a penalty. I'd be annoyed if it was given against us. But I'd be like, well, the defender shouldn't be putting his hands all over him. So for me, what would be classed as the soft penalty? But yeah, I would have wanted it.
McLaughlin P and his yellow whistle there says it's not a penalty. That seems to be the consensus in the chat. How about you, Kaiser?
When I seen him busting through, and I thought if there's any contact, it's going to be a penalty. So there must have been like minimum to none contact. And maybe the defender on the inside, the referee thought was going to recover the ball. I think actually when the guy on the outside of James Forrest actually goes forward to win the ball and defends it really well, I didn't think it was a penalty either. But at the time when he goes down, and especially if I was at the ground, I would have been screaming for it as well. I'd have been throwing that £6 hot dog.
It was long gone, Kaiser, by last minute.
They're usually harder than that, the everlasting hot dogs.
44 minutes. This was a ball played down the left, and Maida sort of nods it past the nearest defender. And look, he's in tons of space there. You're just thinking, go on, son, pull the trigger. And just when it's time to, it kind of bounces off his knee, and the whole.
Yeah, this is the sort of chance that you kind of, if Maida's got more time to think, then he's an instinct player. I think he does well here. This is where he wants to cross in. I think this is why he's so good. When he's left to kind of shoot, I think there's just too much time in his head, and you kind of like no one was disappointed. Everyone was kind of like, oh well, he has got 2 goals. This is the sort of chance that he'd usually kind of skite.
Skite? I haven't heard that word for a long time.
We were talking in the stream couldn't remember if Maida had ever had a hat trick. I know he was going for it, and one of the commenters says that he'd actually had one against Livingston last year, which is the only time he's had a hat trick. But yeah,
he had a hat trick in Japan, didn't he?
A hat trick in Japan. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Isn't that what I heard Brendan saying? The only 2 times
you were going to
he's
start
played
singing there or something, Gav.
He's big in Japan. No, but Brendan has only played him twice as a striker. Once was in Yokohama. Am I getting confused?
Pre-season friendlies. Yeah.
He scored a hat trick in one of those, and then so that's 5 goals in 2 games. Pretty good return. And then this is the 3rd goal, which was all a bit of a kerfuffle. Amazing pressing. This is on. We're into the second half now. This is on 55 minutes, and we're still pressing them like crazy, and we forced this error. This was one of those calamitous goals that you love to see happening live, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it calamitous, but I think again, Rodgers in his post-match said he had told the team that their playmaker was the press, and he'd stressed the importance of the press. And I think that's what this was, because if you actually watch the build-up to this, Hibs just, because they'd obviously made a conscious effort to not just kick it long and give it back to us. They were at least trying to kind of play it out or find a way. And the guy, I think it's number 4, don't know his name, passed it back to the keeper, and the keeper just had really, I think the keeper could have cleared it a little bit better, but maybe just under pressure. And Kuhn was there to kind of put it in.
I think when Daizen, who's worked there on the left, you just don't see for that clip. He initiates the press, and as soon as he initiates the press, Kuhn knows to press as well. he sees Daizen forcing the defender into passing it back to the keeper, leaving the keeper no time. You know what I mean? That was like grip pressing, really well done.
The thing is, even if you hadn't got a goal from it, then it still puts them all on edge, because they know that they've not got, if they give it long, they give it away to us. If they try and pass it out, we're going to close it down. So it really kind of, I think this goal in particular, I think just absolutely knocked the stuffing out of them. And I think it kind of became a game of they didn't want to get hammered, and they just kind of sat in a bit more because they knew the game was gone for them.
Yeah, those poor Hibs defenders, what a nightmare they had. I mean, if you're one of them, every time the ball comes to you, you're like, oh, Jesus, don't want to make a balls of this.
But we say that, there was a guy, the number 20 that was playing for them, I can't remember his name, but CCV was bodying the absolute life out of the boy in the corner, and the boy was trying to give him a bit of a physical challenge, but it really was like a men against boys, and you could just see the frustration in that guy's face. And I think we are a difficult team to live with in this type of form, when we're pressing, finding our passes, closing down, and the defence is doing so well. So I think, how much time is it? Yeah, they're talking about it. I don't know if you've got the photo, Gav, of O'Reilly and Kuhn. I don't know if get some.
O'Reilly's always at it. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that would annoy me. But it's funny that Henrik points it out. It doesn't really annoy me, but there's quite a lot of little wanky celebrations going on. I suppose we should
be critical of them if we're not playing well. So if we're not playing well, I think the thing is, these players have deserved it. Like, they've deserved to kind of, like, you know, they're putting in the hard work outside of the game. They're putting in the hard work inside of the game. They're enjoying their football, so let them enjoy it. I think the big criticism for me is, and I've been, you know, not to bring them up again, but Cantwell on the other side of the city, they get battered off of us, and then the next week they beat St Mirren 5-0, and he's busting out the griddy doing some mad dance. That's not the time to do it. When you're racking up the wins, when you're playing with style, you know, they're young guys at the end of the day. Let them go for it.
I think it speaks to the building relationship between Kuhn and O'Reilly on that right-hand side. No wonder O'Reilly is like playing really well, and Kuhn is thriving out there. Seems to like really up on his form, going past players. He looks untouchable. Such fast feet. The defender just dive in and he's gone, man. He's like a whippet. I think having that
Speaking
time
of
shows
whippets,
how
what's the breed of dog we can hear rattling around on your kitchen floor?
Bro, that is the laminate floor in the hall, and that is my Newfoundland. She's absolutely huge. Believe it or not, she's trying to be as quiet as she can.
That's not a whippet.
She's wearing high heels. No, not a whippet. She's
Very
huge,
good.
bro.
You've got a Newfoundland, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You were just finishing your thought there.
It's gone, bro.
It's gone.
It's like a fart in a jacuzzi. It's gone.
Like
I was just saying Kuhn and O'Reilly are clearly scoring a lot of these goals and interlinking very well in training if they're finding the time to practice these little moves. It's not like Ian suggested there with TikTok Todd. That's a bit more self-engrossing. You know what I mean? He's stroking his own ego, so to speak. Not so with Kuhn and O'Reilly. I believe that's just like something they're working out in the training ground through long, hard time.
Yeah, things are obviously going pretty well, and that's all you've got to complain about. Is I don't like these goal celebrations. You know,
these are the happy days, aren't they? This is the Trying to.
I'll tell you what's happy days. In happy days is the number of 421. There's 422 people watching live, which is a big number for a Celtic world. So, hello everyone. Feel free to join us every Monday and Thursday, 11 a.m. Glasgow time, for fascinating chit-chat like this. Now back to the game. Here come the heavy eyelids of Adamida. Big roar when he came on, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, like, he'd gone to warm up a couple of minutes before, and we kind of knew he was coming on. The excitement was in there. Just we given him the build up pre-match as well when they're reading out the names. So it was good to have him come on, and immediately kind of, let's not forget history. I think there are some people that are critical of his ability. I think he did improve last season, and I think Rodgers obviously wants him because he wants to improve him. And I'd say look at someone like Kuhn, who's had more time, and I think that's going to be the same thing with Ida. He's got all the attributes: big, strong, physical, and he was doing. He gave us something very different when he came on. He was chasing in, holding up the ball. I mean, players couldn't get near him. The boy is a strong boy, and you can see the difference he brings, and the sort of a different type to a Kyogo or a Maid or whoever up top.
Speaking of things, complaining about silly little trivial things when things are good, but he's got a very sort of flat way of speaking, doesn't he, Kaiser? When you hear him interview, he's delighted to be at Celtic.
It's that big, deep, masculine voice, bro. I like what he's got going on with the eyebrows there as well. It looks like
that all Irish men have.
Yeah, most Irish men. All the ones that I talk to.
Very good. All right. 64 minutes. O'Reilly's best effort pulls a save out of the keeper. Kaiser, you call this?
Kaiser's frozen, Sal. Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, so yeah, it was a good one. It was a little bit too central for the keeper. O'Reilly probably wanted to put a bit further left, but there was enough power on him for him to kind of palm it out. And then just unfortunately for us, but good for he didn't put it back in, because had he put it back to Maeda or Ida, it'd have gone in. So yeah, it'd been a nice goal if it worked out.
Yeah. 70 minutes, O'Reilly slips Maeda in. He doesn't quite get the shot away.
No, I don't remember this one. I think this was there was some good. I'd say for the last 20 minutes, and especially I think Bernardo came on around about 80 minutes. I think especially then there was a lot more intricate passing, almost seemed completely different. In the first half, we did seem to be exploiting the wide space, but for the last 20 minutes, there seemed to be a lot of this trying to, pop little balls through close control and stuff like that. But yeah, it just didn't come off.
He looks like Tutankhamun, says who's the snitch.
Yeah, like in one of the old films.
Yeah, you could picture the sort of that Egyptian look painted on the walls or something. That's pretty funny. 73 minutes, Matt O'Reilly releases Ida, and there was a time where you're thinking he's on this. He never quite got on it. The ball skipped away from him. He looked a bit laboured getting to it, did he? Did you get that impression live? Was this your view? Was this your view, or are you on the other side?
Opposite side, down the other end. To me, it looked like the wind carried the ball just a little bit. To me, it looked like the ball was like kind of perfect, but it seemed to almost gather pace as it went through, as opposed to slowing down. And he was just, it'd have been excellent if he'd got a goal. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Rusty needs some game time. He has done a full season with Norwich, a pre-season with Norwich, and he has done a couple of games. But I think the difference is, and you've heard Rodgers speak a lot about in pre-season, it's getting the players to understand what to do in the system. And I think Ida is going to have that little bit of education from Rodgers over the next 4 weeks. Whether or not he'll have time, given that Kyogo might be out for a wee bit, we'll need to see. But yeah, maybe a little bit of lack of match sharpness.
All right, you just mentioned Kyogo might be out for a little bit. Maybe this is a good time to listen to this.
But it takes him out for probably about 4 months. But it's only he that can decide that. Because you see a lot of times he gets through games fine. But then times he'll fall, maybe he'll be awkward and he has an irritation. So, but listen, he's a 30-year-old man now, so he'll understand what he wants to do. But again, he's managed it for a longer period, much longer than he's been at Celtic. So, but I gave him the time. We could have had him back into the game, but it was a little bit slower than normal. So, so I give him the time to miss the game today, and then I'll speak to him tomorrow.
I don't know about you, but when I first heard that, my sphincter tightened a bit at the thought of Kyogo being out for 4 months for shoulder surgery. But he's had it for longer than he's been at Celtic. He's managing it. Doesn't sound like he's about to take the plunge anytime soon. What do you think about our manager saying, he's a 30-year-old man, I'm not going to tell him what to do?
I don't know. I think Rodgers has a particular way of speaking. I think it's some people like it, some people don't. Sometimes, people question if he's being 100% honest, is he sending out messages, etc. Truth is, we just don't know. I think it's telling he says that Kyogo's been managing a lot more than the time he's been at Celtic, which is kind of odd because we have still chosen to sign him knowing that's an issue. I work in a field that also does a bit of sports medicine, so we do products for sports medicine, and I think 4 months is probably like a conservative estimate. Someone like Kyogo, an athlete, you would probably expect maybe 2 or 3 months, depending on what sort of kind of procedure it is to kind of keep the shoulder. It'll just be a bit reinforced, maybe like a plate or some basically wiring that might like kind of keep it a bit. So I don't think it'll impact his mobility. I think what Rodgers is saying there, and I think maybe Rodgers is making the point, is if he is going to stay at Celtic, because I know there's some talk of him maybe leaving, etc. I think it's probably worth him taking a 4-month period out. And then when does he choose to take that 4 months to have the operation to let it settle down? Because as he gets older, it's not going to get better. So, what does he want to do?
Yeah.
I guess the question back, Gav, would be, does Rodgers want him to have it now, or does he want to have it in the new year? When's the best timing for this? Because we've got a lot of big games coming up, right?
Well, I don't think it even necessarily sounds like it's something that's definitely going to be addressed. If he's managed it all this time, and it pops out, so they pop it back in. He misses a game or two, then he's back on the horse. Maybe for the rest of his Celtic career, he'll just keep doing this. Does it sound more imminent to you?
I think it's probably Rodgers saying that he needs to have it done, because I think for Rodgers, what he likes is he likes consistency in the team. Do you know what I mean? And I think if Kyogo is all the time risking popping out that thing, then you're changing that striker. And I think for Kyogo, what you turn around and say is, well, look, if I can't rely on you to be the number one striker from a fitness point of view, then you'll kind of lose that place. So I think he's putting the ball back into Kyogo's court and say, look, you either take the time and get this fixed properly so it's not an issue, or you may have to just deal with the fact that, because he said there, I've given him an extra day because it's not quite right. The other reading to that is he said he's ready to go, but I'm not prepared to risk it. I'll play Daizen there, or I'll play Ida there. And very quickly, Kyogo could find himself, kind of further down the pecking order, which is mad because he's our best striker by a mile.
Yeah, that's a bit of a worry then. All right, let's finish off the game moments. Maybe this is the last one. In fact, it is. 86 minutes, Luis Palma. How can he not hit the target from there? Come on.
The thing is, the first thing Palma did when he came on was take his eye off the ball and it ran out of play over the side. I think the thing with Palma is, I think Palma's a good player, but I think Rodgers is obviously having to do a lot of work to get him to play the way that we want to play. And I don't know if I don't think he's in any immediate danger of leaving. I think Rodgers will want to work on him there because he is a very technically good player. But as you're saying there, he's at least got to hit the target. And that was really good play before that as well. Bernardo came on and showed, Bernardo's feet for a guy that's maybe not had a full pre-season, or as Matt Sharp. Well, he came on and he was like, it made a real difference for the last 10 minutes. Really quick feet, finding players, holding up the ball, using his body well. I don't think it'll do anything to dispel the idea that he's O'Reilly's replacement, because he was performing to a decent level when he came on. Just it's consistency with Bernardo, right?
Yeah, and Palma, I think he's got more talent in his little toe than most other players. But he does do a lot of people's heads in.
Decision making.
Because people say he plays for himself. I'm still confident that he can have a good Celtic career. I think Rodgers is just going to keep at him. Oh, that's exactly what Craig Young just said. There's a player there. Brendan will find it.
Yeah, and I hope so. And I hope so. I do genuinely think with Palmer, it's decision making, because I think the club that he came from in Greece, he was the main man. He was the main man in the league. He came here, and when we were struggling with Rodgers, he actually did the first half of last season. He racked up the numbers, and he was doing well. But I think Rodgers has changed the lilt now. It's not just about getting through these games. It's about the way we play, the way we pass, the decisions we make. And I think that's, it's probably a big culture shift for Palmer, the way he's played like the last couple of years.
Okay, now I don't know if you were watching last week, but I was chatting to Steve on the show about Kuhn, and I was saying, and he was saying, yeah, Kuhn, he's doing well, and we didn't see this last season when he came in, and blah blah blah. And I was like, when are we going to stop talking about what he was like when he came into the club, and just enjoy the fact that he's really becoming like practically the main man in terms of creativity? Like when he gets the ball, you just know good things can happen.
I think the reason that people bring it up is I think you have to give praise to the player and the praise to Rodgers, because obviously they've both worked in something, and it's really working. And I think when will we stop talking about it? Probably when the length of time of him being good has passed that length of time. Because don't get me wrong, it wasn't awful, but there was no one, the end of last season was really about getting through it and doing enough to kind of win. Whereas now we're back into the winning with style, playing the way Rodgers wants to play. And Kuhn's had a fantastic start. I think the thing that people need to keep in mind as well is, though, he is a winger. He's going to have good patches and not so good patches, and that's why we need the different players there to come in and take over. But for now, I agree with you. Let's enjoy it, because he's. I mean, there was a time there was a bit in I think it was the first half, or was it the second half, where he skinned about like 5 or 6 players and held on to the ball, and he was fouled before he could get it away. And I think, yeah, he's a real talent, and if he continues to develop, we've won another watch.
Is he as good as this? You see what that says? Twice the player Abada was. I mean, very different kind of wingers. I suppose they do share some traits, but Abada was all more about pace and getting to the line and things like that, wasn't he? Whereas,
yeah, and I think in
terms
that
of being a footballer, Kuhn's a much better footballer, is he not?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't argue with Abada's numbers, and in big games as well. Let's not forget, Abada could really have a left back pinned back, and like you're saying, that was more the pace, the getting in behind and stretching teams. Kuhn is more about keeping that close control, like bringing the player in, skinning the player, the balls that you can drop in behind. Technically twice the player Abada was, but I'm with you. 2 very different types of player, and I tell you what, I'd love Abada to still be here, and those are 2 right-sided options, because they would be 2 dramatically different options. Yang came on, and it's kind of like the way that Kuhn is playing, it's a bit of a downgrade rather. Sorry.
Kuhn twice the player Abada was. Who the duck is trotting out that complete nonsense? Says Frank. Frank only deals in the facts, of course. Just the facts. Oh, this was something that happened on Twitter. I saw this post by CERN, the notorious BAG. This guy on Twitter. I said, Kuhn no good enough, Ken, which made me think that our friend Ken on Twitter, maybe he was one of the anti-Kuhn voices last year. So I went to try and track down what he had said. It was absolutely the opposite. He was talking about, this was like back in March, Kuhn has pace, trickery, and plays with his head up so he can see the runs of Kyogo and Maeda. That's what's been the difference these last few games. And one of his takeaways here, Ken builds on his performance last week. As previously stated, there's a player in there for everyone who wrote him off. So Ken was in fact very much behind him. And yeah, I mean, it really annoyed me the way everyone jumped on him when he joined the club. Like, no sooner had he kicked the ball than people were saying, nah, not for me. The not for me.
It was a bad time, though, Gav. It was a bad time. I would not like to revisit some of my comments from that time, because
I should have looked for
it
them.
was just generally not a good atmosphere around the place. And I think, we've discussed at the end of last season, full credit to Rodgers for bringing it around in the start to this season, that seems like a distant memory. But it was like a tough time. And I think Kuhn, there was also the question of, is he Rodgers signing? Who's doing the signing? Who's doing the scouting, etc. So I think there was more than just judging Kuhn on his ability. And I think now it's like you were saying about us looking at the players doing the dances. I think now we're having a lot of space to concentrate on the positives because the team is playing so well. So I think he's getting, as the Americans say, he's getting his flowers. Or is it the Europeans? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of foreign travel, it looks like Plunge McNugget has been to Thailand on more than one occasion because he's using the way they address each other. Kuhn, Khun. If he was talking about our player, of course, it would be Kuhn. But anyway, he's twice the player of Abada, but Abada is twice the goal scorer that Kuhn is. So that's a nicely put point. Sorry for the dogs. Can you hear dogs yapping?
Can't hear a couple of wee dogs, yeah.
There's dogs yapping in the back garden. All right, I'm also yapping.
As
about
the dogs barking
spelling.
and the caravan keeps on rolling.
That's exactly it. All right, then. What about this? This is the draw for the next round. Motherwell, Dundee, Aberdeen, the Spartans, the Rangers, Dundee. Did I say Dundee earlier? Dundee United. And then Celtic Falkirk. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's a good draw for us. Any home draw in the cup is a good one, and I think you can't complain when it's lower league opposition, especially when you look at it. I think Aberdeen are really good this season, so I think avoiding Aberdeen, I think is at this stage of the season when they're in good form, I think is a good one. I'd have been happy with most of the teams outside of Aberdeen, and I think obviously looking at the rest of the draw, Motherwell, Dundee United to be pretty competitive. I think Aberdeen you'd expect to beat Spartans, and I think for Rangers, I think that gives them another chance to celebrate in front of one man and his dog if they can get past Dundee and replicate some of probably the most embarrassing scenes we've seen in a while. But let's see. I think Dundee will definitely give them a game, but I'm sure the referee will be there to help them out.
Kaiser's back.
Power cut. I think it's Clement chewing through the wires. It's a lot of homeless rodents around here.
Back to entertainer 512 current viewers. What's going on?
Thank you all very much for being here.
These are big numbers. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the algorithm?
Yeah, ensure you're smashing like and subscribe. Support the channel. Help us grow. If you can, possibly share us to your social media. Help the content grow.
Yeah. You know what? You hear these appeals all the time on YouTube. Help us to 50,000 and things. Well, help us to 2,000. That's how much your click means. It really means something. You're clicking for somebody else who's saying, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It has no effect for us. We cherish every single one.
Gav, do we want to reach the stage where Rangers people on Twitter are chopping us up and ridiculing us? I think that's the next milestone.
Is that when you know you've arrived?
Yeah, where people are, taking our words out of context and trying to clown on us. I mean, they'll have to wait a good while, I think, because we're on the up.
Yeah, when you're the subject of ridicule, you've made it.
That's a subject I want to talk about, about Celtic being on the up. Like, everything is going so well, assuming we make a couple of purchases, assuming we address a few of the issues of lack of depth, etc., lack of quality in our squad. We sort of put together a team that maybe can do something in Europe. Like, things are going very well for us. We're playing very well. Rodgers is cooking, as people like to say. Things on the other side of the city, or on your side of the city, Kaiser, I mean, are they really as bad as it looks? I mean, what I'm worried about is things seem to be going so well for us and so badly for them. Is this as good as it's going to get? Are they going to actually settle down and improve? Are we going to drop off at some stage of the season? Or is this confidence well placed?
I think form is temporary and class is permanent, and we just have the better players. So we're always going to win out right here, right now, I would say, as a Celtic fan. What's going on at Rangers, I think if you consider what they largely put forward is like a duck on top of a pond. Below the water, the legs are furiously kicking. And we've seen it before when we were revelling and laughing and jelly and ice cream while they liquidated. They were pleading right until the last moment that everything was just fine. Buy your season books, get your money in, invest in next season's squad. So transparency has never been an issue for them. So if we're hearing and it looks on the surface like something's wrong, then I can only imagine what's going on below the surface. I think it will be a very long time before Rangers, or this current formation of Rangers, either become a new formation of Rangers or actually pose a challenge to us again. Should we continue to stretch our legs for a position of strength and invest the capital where it needs to be, we need to invest in players in the squad.
The thing that I am a little bit apprehensive of is when everyone, I can't remember who coined the phrase, but said they were the kind of Espanyol or Barcelona. I think what you're seeing is there's a big change in mentality from them. Their must-win game in the Champions League, Hampden's half empty. Do you know what I mean? Their game in the Cup, like I said, there's two man and their dog there. The fans are not turning out to support them like they did in previous decades because it's years of mismanagement and years of failure, because that's what it is. They've become a club almost. They're a second place club. And I think as well, you look at those celebrations at the end there, they've got whichever way, it's a decision that they got to beat to win the cup game, and they've gone over and they've celebrated like they've won it, and it's in the I don't know what the round is, the round of 16 or whatever, and that kind of shows you. And you've seen people defend it online saying, "Oh, they're showing passion and things like that," but to me, as someone who grew up watching them with like their Walter Smith, Dick Advocaat, McLeish sort of era, their standards have fallen so much. They've fallen and fallen and fallen. The fact that people are sitting there defending them, celebrating like that, gives me confidence that they've really accepted that position as a second place club and are just kind of happy to participate. And I think the thing for us as Celtic fans to be mindful is to not let the board think like that, because the board are specialists in just doing enough. What that says to me now is the league for us is, yes, it's still always important, but we've got a real big, a healthy stretch in them there. It's the Champions League now. Let's actually start to invest. Let's start to do stuff on a stage that matters. And if you do that as well, the players that we're selling O'Reilly, will have one or two of them and they can be sold, and the board's bonuses can be better and stuff like that. I think that's what we really need to double down on now. And as fans, we can all enjoy like making fun of them. We can all enjoy them making fun of themselves, but we need to stay on this board and have that mentality that we need to keep on improving, and that Europe is our gold standard and our marker.
Our gold standard. Are we just in it for the money, Kaiser, or are we going to do something this year? Are we going to finish in that magical 24th position or above?
Whether footballing-wise we manage to do something right now with the playing staff we have, should we retain Matt O'Reilly and stuff, I would still back the team to do well. Right, just as we are right now, adding extra quality, that for me, that ensures that we're going to do well. Are the board going to do that? Is this the time to invest the capital? Well, we've got definite qualification. I know as businessmen, they'll be sitting there with a record bank balance, looking at record transfers coming in for players, money coming in left, right and centre over transfer deals like Owen stuff. I think we're still in positive balance. I don't even think we've spent negatively in the players we've acquired. You know what I mean? They could just sit back and go, we'll just let this compound. Next year's the time to attack it, when we don't know about qualification, when you need to put money into it. They could come out and argue that point, but they don't even argue the point. They just treat us like we're a customer base and fools. and continue to stockpile the money. And all we're asking for is a sign, you know what I mean, that the board want to compete, that they want to throw their hat in the ring at least, you know what I mean? A couple of players, 2 or 3 players. How I've managed to arrange that in. I thought we were going to spend like 36 million, 6 million a player, 6 targets. I was like, sounds fantastic. Nice mathematical, nice even. We could do that, no problem, and still recoup the money on a couple of transfers. But no, once again, Celtic are never proactive, they're reactive. So, like people always say, you're only as strong as your closest rival. Is that a defining factor of the SPFL, and our board just think as long as they're falling apart across the city, we don't need to do nothing?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what this season's all about. Now, it's never been in more stark contrast. You know, the Champions League is a greater prize with the 8 games and all that, and the possibility of going further because of the way it's set up. You know, you could be one good performance away from getting into the promised land, and with them having such a nightmare, you know, the decision is clear to see, you know, what way is it going to go. Lads, it's been a lot of fun catching up with you. I saw that Kaiser and Dano had great fun on the drink along. You two are now our kind of shoe-in drink along hosts.
Seems that way.
The most reliable, because Dano loves it. It doesn't matter what time a game kicks off because he's a night owl in Korea. 11 o'clock, 12 midnight, no problem, my man.
Yeah, Dan was there. He knows how it's done.
And Ian was up at the game, so that was pretty good to see you there at the stadium. Now, thank you very much, everyone in the chat. As always, bringing your own unique form of entertainment and talking about all sorts of other things. I might just throw in another one of these, considering we've got 525 people. So this is for you if you're not a regular watcher or you haven't yet subscribed. Écoute.
Hello all the Celtic fans. Here in France we love the Celtic world. C'est fantastique. Subscribe. C'est un fait accompli.
It's a fait accompli. All right. So farewell to everyone in the chat. Thank you as always. We will be back on Thursday for another exciting show. There's a flipping, what do you call it, coming up? International breaks left, right, and centre. But I'm lining up some really interesting people to talk to, CSCs, journalists, and the like. So that'll be fun. But as for everyone who's here in the chat today, thank you so much. Thank you to Ian. Thank you to Kaiser. We'll see you all soon.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
It'll help.